two dirty painters to multiple seven-figure business owners. I'm Redion.
And I'm Karmelo.
We'll be giving you guys the insider secrets to take your trades business to the next level.
From crazy stories to proven strategies, get ready to supercharge your business with us.
Welcome to the Dirty Painters Podcast.
In today's episode, we'll be talking with Brian Cooney, a fellow dirty painter and founder of Pretty Boy, about his vision for his product and his overall experience in the painting industry. Let's get right into it. Brian, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I feel like it's been a lot of years where we just DM each other on social media, and it's good to finally meet you in person.
Absolutely.
How's the traveling treated you?
It's good. I've been on the road almost, I left my apartment in New York City almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I've been on the road for about 2 years, working with painters, traveling around, and yeah, it's been great.
Let's get started. Tell us your background. How'd you get started? Were you actually a painter? How'd you come up with the idea?
I had launched a brand in the 90s called Carboom, an energy gel with my brothers. So I had a good little run with the brand, right? My brother took it over and he did what he did with it. And then I went back to the food business. So I was burned out. I grew up in the food business and I was working on a Mississippi boat when 9/11 hit, lost the job. And then my buddy said, hey, come paint my house in Philadelphia. I bought a new house and you can write your book. I always wanted to write the great American novel. I started painting his house in Philadelphia, and I just fell in love with painting. And that was it. I was 37 years old at the time, so it was over 20 years ago.
And then how long did you paint?
I painted 3 years in Philly and off and on about 18 years in Manhattan, so about 21 years.
Wow, 21 years painter.
Yeah.
Did you run your own business?
I did. It was always 2 or 3 guys and me. Sometimes I had more guys, but didn't like that. So it was always just me and a couple guys. And Manhattan was good because it was just turn and burn. And I knew I didn't want to do it forever. So it was quick money and I could use that to build another brand, which was Pretty Boy.
Did you do mostly residential?
All residential. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, apartments. And Philly was different because you're in a neighborhood and you're picking out colors and stuff like that. But when it came to Manhattan, that was a turn and burn. Everything's white.
Everything's white. Easy work.
Get it done. The big question is, can you be done by Friday? That was it.
I started as an apartment painter, so I know how it is.
That was it. And yeah.
How'd you come up with the idea for Pretty Boy?
So right away, when I started painting in 2002, when I got off the boat, I thought the product existed. I thought it was there would have to be a paint soap, right? You got soap for your hair, you got soap for your body, you got soap for your cars, tires, everything. So I walked into the Benjamin Moore, which is Riccardi Brothers on Germantown Avenue, and it didn't exist. And the guy says, use dish soap. I said, okay. So I started using dish soap. And I knew as an inventor, I've been an inventor for many years, that wasn't the right product. I could see the brush was swelling. I could tell it would curdle. I could see it was leaving stuff on there. So I said, So I'd had the idea for about 12 years before I moved on it.
What made you choose, you know what, I'm pursuing this. I'm going to make the shampoo for paint brushes to serve the need that you identified in the industry?
It was a lifestyle change. I was going to be turning 50, and I was ready to kind of start something different. So I went on a nice spiritual trip. I did India and Nepal. And I saw people diving off into the abyss. They were leaving their worldly possessions. And I thought, and it looked tempting, but I thought, I'm going to go back and I have a couple ideas. I'm going to make money and build a brand. So next time I dive off in the abyss, I'll have money and I won't have to go back and do the old pay off the credit cards, Mm-hmm. So I came back in 2000. So 8 years ago, 2016, I came back to New York City and I started working on it.
How long was that trip?
The trip was about 2 months. About a month in India and a month in Nepal.
Anything cool or interesting that you learned that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, it was cool because, my mother passed away when I was younger and, my dad kind of took off and I was, raised, I'm the youngest of 7, so I was kind of a little bit of abandoned. So I met this first spiritual woman in India and she looked at me and she goes, your heart's closed. You need to open it back up and learn to love again. And I was like, wow. And so when I got to Nepal, that was the idea where you saw people diving off into if you read the book, Eat, Pray, Love, or see the movie, pray is India or Nepal. And so I didn't want to do that anymore. I had done enough of it. So I got 2 answers. It was great.
What was the product creation process like from the idea to identifying the need. You said you use the soap, the dish soap, and then what came after that? You know, like the whole process from like R&D, testing.
Yeah, so when I got back in November 2016, I had to find a chemist. I knew I couldn't do it myself. So I was getting these crazy quotes, 50,000, 25,000. And eventually my brother had a chemist for an old company that lived next door to a paint chemist. His name was Terry. He was from London. He was married to a Southern woman. And he looked at me and he said, Brian, let's just start one thing at a time. So it took me 8 formulas to just get that latex re-wetted or off. And then it took another 8 formulas to get the final product. So about 8 months, each 2 weeks, he would get me enough to work with. And after 8 formulas or 9 formulas, the brush opened up like somebody putting their hands in a light socket. And he says, all right, we got the cleaner now, which is four conditioners or surfactants. Now let's bring the conditioner in to bring the brush back. And it took 2 conditioners, and we had it. Then we had what is now the Pretty Boy formula.
How'd you come up with the name?
Great question. When I got back from India, I was holding a Purdy brush, a 2.5-inch angle, and I'm staring at it, and I'm thinking about Vanilla Ice, the rapper. And so I'm a big meditator. So I was doing my normal 24-minute, 25-minute sit. And at minute 10 or 11, it came through like a bolt of lightning. Pretty Boy. Because I had thought of him and I was like, oh my God. I opened my eyes and I thought, ooh, that was interesting. Because it wasn't like pretty and then boy. It was bang right through it. It's cool.
It's amazing. So when you first, now you have the solution, how did you start off with it? Did you like go word of mouth to begin with, or
you use it for yourself, obviously? First?
Well, yeah. So I used it myself, and I really worked on the brush and the roller and stuff. And I went to one distributor when I got my first 1,000 bottles. So it took 2 years. Now we're in the same time frame, 2018, and here comes 1,000 bottles, and they're just like they are today. And nobody wants it. Nobody knows about it. And you realize after a while as an entrepreneur, the hardest thing is marketing. It really is everything. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And one of my girls that I was teaching a little bit of yoga, I was teaching a little bit of meditation. And this girl goes, yeah, you ever heard about Instagram? So that was kind of a process of 3 or 4 months starting to get on Instagram. And I was fully on Instagram by January 2019. And I started to give it to guys for free. Johnny, the happy painter, Sam, the right painter, guys like that. And they would use it, and they gave me great feedback. So the first year was lousy, didn't sell much, but I realized how much I liked the community. So by the following year, the sales doubled, and I just started to kind of play around with how to meet these guys, and that was been the whole philosophy behind it.
So Instagram played a vital role on you getting the product out there and meeting those painters, even meeting us. I mean, we've been talking on Instagram for 6 years now? And we talk a lot about the importance of social media on this podcast and how you should put your business out there. Do you have any advice to give to anybody that might be starting a business that's not on social media? Should they do it? Any advice that you can give them?
Oh God, it's everything. There's 2 types of people on social media. Or 3 types. There's people that will never do it, and they'll tell you that they don't need it. Mm-hmm. As if business is good enough.
A lot of painters say that.
I don't need it. I don't need it. And the second one will put somebody else in their company, or they'll shoot. And then the third one becomes hams like me or Dane Carlson or Carlson Paint Paper. We get up there and we thrive in front of it. So I had done a little stand-up comedy in the 90s. So I had walked in front of the crowds before. So I had that advantage. I knew guys that literally are physically unwell when they get in front of the first camera. I'll tell you the story of Frank DeCristo, owner of Color X. He owns 4 of the largest Benjamin Moore dealerships or paint stores in Toronto. And he knew he had to do it. And he said he was physically unwell, and then he started doing it. And now he's a ham. He's like Robin Williams.
Nice.
So, yeah, I say do it, do it, do it. And I tell you what it does, it brings up the childhood. It brings up the worthiness. Am I worthy? Am I worthy? If you're not doing it, you got to ask yourself why you're not doing it.
Did you have any specific strategy, or you just went out there and you just natural, just went and hanged out with your painters and while using the product? What was your initial strategy entering and starting social media?
Just showing how to use the product. And I was learning as I was going. You know, I knew when I got Pretty Boy, right away when I got the bottle, and of course the logo has the brush guy, right? I knew that not even it's the most fabulous brush cleaner for the latex there is. There's not anything near it, but it's limited. So right away, guys were using it for caulking, throwing the rags in there, diluting it. Guys were using it for cleaning. So I was taking their leads. So by the third or fourth bottle, I had removed paint, dirt, and wallpaper. And that was the thing that I had learned from social media.
It's a good degreaser for cabinets too.
It's a phenomenal degreaser. My chemist does a breakdown for me on two of the most toxic products, Crud Cutter, which breaks down the wood, and Diff, wallpaper removal. It's flammable. It's from the 1970s formula. So my product can take care of both of those, and it's not toxic. It's much safer.
Much safer, yeah. It doesn't stink.
It doesn't stink.
And or like a lot of times we would use like lacquer thinners or paint thinners to degrease, and then they make your eyes burn. So we're like, you know what? That's how we use it.
Yeah.
For the Pretty Boy product, we'll use it for degreasing cabinets. It smells good. Plus, the shop guys, they don't complain because like paint thinner, lacquer thinner, they even burn through gloves and they'll start destroying your hands pretty much.
It's overkill. You can use the Crud Cutter or that stuff right around the hood, right? That's where the stuff is like olive oil, who's ever cleaning it. Everything else is overkill. So yeah, you learn that. My chemist has been great. He'll break down a product. I'll hand it to him. I'll say, what is this product? What is the advantages of it? And he'll tell me, he talks about pH levels or bite levels. Like a bite level is what it does to your skin, how harsh it is to your skin. And some of that stuff is crazy harsh. But yeah, that's overkill. And that's the hardest thing is getting people to, like right now, my thing is you're going to clean the brushes and rollers at noon or 4 o'clock, right? Hypothetically, or the sprayer. Why not put a squirt of Pretty Boy in, make the prep bucket, and go through the arc of the job? So the ability that I use these glove clips now, and I take the rags and I hand them to everybody in the room, and they all have a glove clip, that you have a new tool in front of you. And you're much more relaxed because when you're covered with paint, you're sending the message to the client, right? Guys are sitting there eating all day covered with paint. And I just think it's a sloppy mindset, And so you keep people going. And of course, the caulking, the wood putty, the spills. Hardwood floors get trashed when you go after them with the wrong product. And I don't care how good a painter you are, it always ends up on
under the paper, yeah, or under the tarps.
It always does. Always does.
No, don't be a dirty painter.
Don't be a dirty painter.
But also, a lot of you out there, I see you guys that you're degreasing with acetone and lacquer thinner. Do yourself a favor and just use Pretty Boy or something better because you like literally burning your brain cells. A lot of these cabinet painters out there, they're using like crazy chemicals.
They don't clean them as good.
Yeah, they don't clean them as good.
Yeah, when you mix in that solution with water, it's
or it can react with your coatings.
React with your coatings. The shout out to Chad. He's talks about the new scouring pad that Surf Prep has. So you can literally, you could take Pretty Boy, dilute it a little bit in a spray bottle. You could hit it on the thing, or put a little bit in a bucket and kind of get the excess water off. And hit it with that Surf Prep scouring pad real quick and wipe it up. Or even a green spudgy. That's all you need. That's all you need.
What our guys do, they use warm water and then they'll squirt like a few squirts in there. And then the warm water really, really makes it, they just soak the whole cabinet and then just wipe it. Everything comes off.
Yeah, so a dish, everybody knows a dish soap is 6% soap. It's very small amount of surfactant. And it has stuff on there that keeps Mrs. Johnson's hands moist. Mm-hmm. It has fat, wax, and lanolin, stuff that we don't want as painters. Pretty Boy is 4 times the concentration of a dish soap. So it's 25% surfactant. It's very concentrated. So it's going to pop anything off of there. The oil, the paint, it's going to re-wet it. And the conditioner is water-based. It's very clean. So it feels good on your hands and it'll come off. So it's not going to leave those spider webs. It's not going to do anything that's going to affect the coatings. It's very clean.
It doesn't react. We haven't seen it react with any water-based coatings. All right. You want to give us a few marketing tips on how do you connect with painters, contractors, other paint stores? I see you all the time. You're out doing demos and showcasing the product. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you got to approach each of them a little bit differently. You know, one of the advantages of Instagram, and it depends on your personality, just to get your product known, you know, you need 3 or 4 guys. That's all you need in a city, you know, to market it. So if somebody is asking you questions in behind the scenes, you know, be kind and answer them. I even do videos. I'll hit the video button and I'll say, hey, it's Brian. Hope you're doing well. I'm having some coffee. Like guys from England will always hit me up a lot. And they'll, you know, it'll be 6 o'clock in the morning. It'll be 11 o'clock there. So that's one way I get the product known. In store, you set the table up. Like tomorrow, I'll be at Sarasota Paints. Jonathan owns 3 of them. And I'll be there at 7 a.m. And I'll just try to get I'll make a bucket of Pretty Boy. I'll show all the tools and I'll get them over there and start working with them. And then say, give it a try. You know, proof's in the pudding, right? As far as you can do advertising where you make a cool video and you can spend some extra money and you can put it on Amazon or you could put it on, Instagram and pay for that. You could pay for Reels. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to go about it. Yeah, and trade shows are good. But I think it's just a matter of getting the right people like yourself. You know, you use the product. A lot of guys watch what you do. And like Juan, you know, Juan Hernandez, Painting by Juan, he uses my product. And a lot of the guys are like, oh my God, I started using your product because Juan used your product. So it's kind of, you don't really know where it's going to go. You're just kind of feeding these hoppers. And
so
you're
like
hoping for the
influencer
best.
marketing.
Yeah.
You spread your seeds and then eventually you'll start reaping the rewards from it.
Absolutely.
Especially on a product, when you're trying to sell product, this is like, it's not a service-based business, it's product. So you have to showcase the abilities and you have to give it to people to try it. We do the same with our bookkeeping software. We'll let you try it first, and if you like it, good.
Love it.
Run it. If not, then it's not for you. Then it was a sample, pretty much.
I love it, and I like to help people. I'm a giver, so there's a lot of guys that hit me up over the last 6 years online, and they say I have an idea, and I say, well, I'm willing to sign a non-disclosure. You know, and they're like, what is that?
Dirty painted life.
Free lesson right there.
And so I'm willing to, it means I'm not going to take your idea, and there's proof that I won't take your idea, but I try to help guys. There's so many times people want to do something, and it's great. I think everybody has a multi-million-dollar idea, just a matter if they're going to really go for it. Nobody wanted my product in the beginning, and I knew how good it was as a painter. And I said, well, you're just going to have to wait for this life. You know, you're going to have to do the best you can with lifestyle stuff, get people using it, show people how to use it, and hope for the best.
A lot of people expect that instant gratification and then they want immediate results. Tell us, how long did it take you from the idea to actually doing all the prototypes to seeing someone, like you said, you double your sales the next year, but to see success, to see constant flow, orders coming, how long, what was that time frame? For a lot of people that think you might have been an overnight success. You come in an idea, you found the chemist, and all of a sudden you start cranking out sales like crazy.
Well, everything I started in 2008 when I got back from that trip from India, you got to understand, I had a business in the 90s already. Mm-hmm. So I had already had over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur. And the thing that you can't replace as an entrepreneur is getting on the tightrope. And what I mean by that, you guys own your own business. You lay in bed at night and you go, holy cow, am I doing this? And you feel like you can't breathe. But even though it's stressful, that is invaluable when you start a new one, because you realize it didn't kill you, right? And you can do it. So it was 2 years to develop it. So I would paint apartments in Manhattan. I would come home, go to the gym or go eat something, and I would play with the formula, go emails, test the product. After 2 years, I had the bottles, and it took me at least 3 or 4 years to realize that I had peaked online. I just sold it exclusively online. And then I had to, a year 4 or 5, I started working with retailers. And I finally last year got my first distributor. And then this year I got my UK distributor. So now I have 2 major distributors that put me in 4 countries.
So that's like what?
8 years. 8 years total. 8 years.
So there's nothing is overnight. Even if you have that idea, it's gonna take time. Even with us, when we first started the business, the first 2 years absolutely sucked. It was so tough. And then you start doing things the right way, and then you start seeing some tractions. Then you get knocked out, go back to the bottom, and you're like, okay, now I have to get up again. So there's no instant gratification. Nothing is overnight. 8 years with 20 years of previous experience as a business owner.
Do you find it, was it difficult because, having a product like this, I know it's hard for a few people, like, oh, you just use hot water and dish soap. The transition and then like, hey, this is a better way. In the first few years, I'm assuming it was like very difficult because people don't really like change.
Beautiful question. Yeah, exactly. All that above. You get discouraged, but what brings you to success, I think, is when I watched my mother pass away when I was 16 years old, you could tell that there was an ending to it. It was finite. And so something came to me was, you're on your deathbed. Are you going to regret not doing this? You know what I mean? Are you going to regret not putting these extra years in? Because once you get to that next level, as one of my favorite writers, Charles Bukowski, says, you can dance with the gods. Once you got income coming in and you work for yourself and you can manage that income, it's great. So yes, what you're saying, everything. And people can be so nasty online, and they can say the harshest things, and you can really hurt your feelings, and it can discourage you. And I had many times where I just said, well, there's nothing in the rearview mirror I want. There's nothing of the old life I want, and I believe in this product. So you get discouraged, you take a day off, and then you would start again. But yeah, dish soap, use dish soap. Oh man, like I saw Dane the other day, he had the overspray on this real nice hardwood floor. He had it perfectly covered, but it was blown out. And I just put the Pretty Boy on there, and I let it sit 5 minutes, and I wiped it up, and it came up without hurting the hardwood floors. And I had so many guys, I used denatured alcohol, and you just go at you, ta. And you're just like...
And you fuck up the clear coat, and the next thing you know, you have to redo the stain. Don't ask me how I know.
That's the best and worst part about all of it, is that I'm a sensitive guy. I care about people, and some of these things come at you. So I don't even respond anymore. I don't even respond.
So you say that's the best way to deal with because I find it like the paint industry and the trades, there's a lot of negative people and a lot of miserable people out there. So your advice is just don't even respond, or don't even entertain conversation with them.
Don't ask a sparrow how an eagle soars. That's a sparrow's mindset. They're not doing anything. If you've been on the tightrope, if you guys started your own business, failed or not, you'll never be as harsh on people. It's these people that are sitting waiting in the wings. They're scared to do it, and they're so terrified, they're traumatized, that all they can do is lash out. So it's not even coming from a healthy mind. It's coming from almost somebody that's mentally ill, that would go out of their way to say something to hurt somebody. So I just wish, what I do? I learned through my meditation, my yoga, I study some Buddhism. I wish them well, because their karma, and what I mean by karma, the energy in which they're walking into a room or they're living their lives, is they're like a tire that's not even true. It's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you just wish them well, because if they're doing that, how are they living their full life? So I just wish them well. Don't respond.
We're the same way.
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with kindness.
A lot of haters out there, especially for painters.
It's crazy.
I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't even, a lot of times I don't even respond to them. A lot of my videos, I go viral, and then I have all these people just like going crazy. The most common is because we don't wear painters whites.
Yeah.
We just wear normal work clothes.
Yeah.
And we'll get like hundreds of grown ass men commenting on our attire. I'm like, dude, why are you commenting on my clothes? Why do you care what I wear? Like,
Exactly.
grow up.
Something I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Your vision now compared to in the beginning, because right now you've seen some success and now you're probably looking into bigger things. The vision, has it changed at all, or?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I started the Pretty Boy Paint Festival, and it's something very dear to my heart. And there's a lot of painters that are mentally unhealthy, and I just wanted to get these guys together, and I like painters. Every time I go into a room with painters, I feel at home. Even though I didn't start till I was 37, I'm a painter at heart. My uncle was a painter. I had a brother that was a painter. So there's something about us painters that when we get together, it's wonderful. So I grew up in the restaurant business, so I'm very good at putting a party together. So this Pretty Boy Paint Festival now, this year, 2025, I'll have 2 of them. I'm going to do one with Surf Prep and Apollo Sprayers in San Diego, and that should be in April 2024. That'll be our first year.
2025.
Sure, 2025, thank you. And then the summer, I'll do my 6th one, and I'm pairing up with a guy that owns 7 or 8 paint stores. So that's really cool. So not only the product, but you're standing behind the product and what's near and dear to my heart, which is bringing people together.
Yeah, that's very important. And then our industry is very toxic. So you doing that it's like a what do you call it? A breath of fresh air, or like what do you call it? You know what I mean, right? It's something unique.
Something different than the
Something
toxic
different.
environment, because one thing I like to say usually is there's enough work for all of us, and then we can only support each other. It's like we can't paint all the houses in Tampa or the whole state of Florida. It's the hate, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, going back to the hate, people have to realize that I learned this from Buddhists, is that when you hate, you actually hate yourself. Because there's no way you can put vile out there without coming back on you. So that's, again, you wish them well. You just
Do you
wish them
believe
well.
in what goes around comes around?
That's a tough one. Because, I'd been to India and Nepal, and we Americans Westerners have a different philosophy of what karma is. I think what happens if you live a toxic lifestyle, you're going to be hanging out with toxic people, and therefore your chances of success is less. So you could say they won't have the opportunities, because successful people don't want to hear it. If you're just vile and spewing out bad stuff, people want uplifting people. They want people with a good heart. Positive energy. Yeah. So, yeah, you might get invited to the party once. You're just not going to get re-invited. So, and then again, Instagram is much better than Facebook.
That's why we don't even post on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's rough, man.
We stay away from Facebook.
Facebook, they're ruthless.
It's ruthless.
We don't even our advertising rarely goes on Facebook, because I need to have somebody full time just to monitor the comment section.
Bodyguard.
They can get very creative with it too. You can give them that. So with Pretty Boy, what's your 5-year plan looking forward? I know you said you have some traveling going all the way up to Ireland as well. So what do you envision the next 5 years to be?
For the company and for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm in 4 countries. I'm going to grow those, and I really want to get into a few more countries. I love to learn another language, and I can play around with a little bit of French. I have a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of Italian. So I was just asking the Hartley Group the other day. I said, you got to turn me on to Italy. You got to turn me on to Italy. So yeah, growing internationally, I really want to spend a little bit more time outside the U.S. while I'm healthy. I will be 60 this year. And, it's time to kind of do the traveling that you can do. So, the product's going to do what it's going to do. You know what I mean? And the cool thing is it's got a new life, because with the distributor, guys call me up every day and say, where can I get it? And Sherwin-Williams will just put it in the store for them. Now, they don't buy it directly from me. They buy it from my distributor. So it's really cool. So every day I get phone calls. So that's really helping. And that's cool. So the 5-year plan would be just continue what I'm doing. Keep the company healthy, solvent. Don't spend any crazy amount of money. I might launch the brush shield. I have the shield covers, those plastic ones. And I have a really good wire brush. And then eventually, maybe there's something else in the future, you know, but different sizes and stuff. But that's enough business to go around. Ton of, if I can get half the guys off dish soap, I'll be a millionaire.
Yeah. It's another thing. You focus on one thing. Don't try to spread yourself too thin, because that's a mistake that a lot of business owners make.
Chase too many cats.
Exactly. If it's already proven and it's making you money, why do you want to reinvent the wheel and go do something else? Well, your golden goose is right there.
It's true.
Feeding it.
Actually, I was on a date a couple years ago, and the girl she had an MBA from Stern School, NYU. She was really smart. And I was telling her about the shield covers that I have, and I was telling her about the wire brushes and this and that. And she goes, you got to focus on, and it just brought me back. She's like, right, I got to stay with the product, stay with it. Don't spend the extra money, because what happens? You spend an extra 20, $30,000, $40,000 a month on something that's not what you could be doing. Because the pretty boy is the big money.
Yep. It's your golden goose.
Yep, absolutely.
Again, you have almost 3 decades of entrepreneurship experience. What's a piece of advice to somebody that's trying to get into being a business owner and they're intimidated by it?
Great question. The thing that nobody talks about in business school is are you healthy mentally? If you're drinking a lot and you're getting high every day and you're angry, you're lost, don't start a business. Go to India, go to Nepal, go to the Peace Corps, go find yourself. Because that's the biggest mistake, is that you're trying to, a business is like a lover, you have to be in love with it, and you have to grow it, and you have to nurture it. And if you're not healthy, because I remember when I launched my first company, Carboom, it's the energy gel. It's still on the market, by the way. I was 27 years old, and I just wasn't a healthy guy. I wasn't healthy. I was partying too much. I was angry. My brothers and I were fighting, and it didn't go like I wanted it to. And so it's nice to have a second shot. So get healthy, and then, start small, start slow, start real slow. Just paint one house. Do it by yourself. What do you want to do? Get the philosophy, and then have the courage to stay with what's in your heart and not be pulled to the shiny stuff. Last thing is, when you grow a business, you're looking at 10 years. A really good business is 10 years. So get toxic people out of your life.
That's some great advice, man.
Thanks, buddy.
That's some great advice.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. No worries.
Don't chase the woman with the red dress.
Ask your sister out.
Or don't even date. Just go to the gym and work.
I haven't done a lot of dating in 10 years, man. It's all been on it. It's because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Plus, you need to be focused, especially if you're building a business.
It's a lot of time.
All the time you have to invest in it. In an ideal world, would you ever, even if Pretty Boy becomes like huge, like a big brand, would you ever consider selling it, or would you want to be with it? It's going to be your pride and joy.
I think I'd like to have another minimum 10-year run, because it's so much fun to build it, But I have a couple other ideas I'd like to do before I'm in that pine box done. You know what I mean? So yeah, I might be sell it in 10 or 15 years, or do some kind of creative version of it. Like Burt's Bees. That guy started that Burt's Bees with just honey. And his girlfriend came in and said, we got to make more stuff. And he wasn't driven like she was. And so he made candles. They made candles and stuff. She grew Burt's Bees, where she sold it for $180 million. And she sold 85% of it and kept 15%. So something like that. You know what I mean? So much of the product is out of your hands, and how people feel when they touch your bottle, how they bring it home, how the wife grabs it or the husband grabs it and cleans his car with it. It's just, it's just finding peace within yourself. And I think the product is part of it. It's just an extension to you. So yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see.
I'm sure the trajectory that you're taking, man, you're going to do some big things.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Especially all the elbow work that you're doing right now, traveling and meeting all these companies. Like right now you're in Florida, hanging out with different companies every day. That's all the groundwork you have to put in order to enjoy the dividends that it's going to pay you. It's not going to be overnight.
100%.
You can run the best marketing campaigns, but if you don't do that groundwork, then it's probably most likely it's not gonna work for you.
Yeah, the painters are like the clients. When I was a painter, I was a real estate agent for a few years in Manhattan, and then I went back to painting because I painted in Philly, went to sell real estate for a while. I didn't really like it, so I ended up basically working for the other real estate agents. They would got me the jobs, and you took good care of them, and they feed you. So yeah, I mean, the big thing about these painters out there, and I've been on hundreds of job sites now, and the good ones take good care of the clients. They take good care of the clients. They love what they do. They don't want to be anywhere else. A client can smell when you're in it for the quick cash, because there's too many things in the world to do. You don't need to be a painter if you don't want to be a painter, or you don't need to do Zach Kenny type of finishes if you're not a Zach Kenny kind of guy. You might just be a turn and burn guy, which I'm not a Zach Kenny painter. That guy does gorgeous work. I would hang myself if I had to do a door like that. You know what I mean? I love what he does, but it's not me. Manhattan was great for me. I could run in there, throw the paper down, tip the super, you know what I mean? Go in there. My buddy would drive me in, drop me off. We'd do 5 days and we'd be out. And it was great. I worked 3 weeks of the month. And so you got to find your rhythm and find peace with yourself. And I think, I see a lot of painters, and I don't want to be mean, I see a lot of painters high a lot. I see them stoned a lot. A lot of painters are smoking weed all day long.
Coming to work drunk.
And that's fine after hours if you want to live that life. But man, just put that stuff down and get to know yourself. You might not even want to be a painter when you sober up.
How important is, health, and you're in good shape. For like painters, like you said, traditionally, that's why we call our podcast Dirty Painters, because coming up, a lot of people thought, like me and my brother, we're just some dirty painters. They didn't take us serious until our business really took off. That's the reason we named the podcast that. How important is it to have a healthy mindset and taking care of your health? Not being high, eating healthy, not coming to work drunk. We've had a lot of guys in the past that they would smell alcohol from like 30 feet away.
Yeah, and my dad said that to me the other day. My dad's 94 years old, and he said, you're giving, with the Pretty Boy Paint Festival, you're giving painters, you give them status now, and you're helping them, shine. Because, God, the guys that show up, they're so awesome. And girls, they're so awesome. And they love what they do, and they take care of their clients. And I think that stigma has to go, and it is going.
Slowly but surely.
It is going. Yeah, because back in the day, when my dad was a young man, when they painted, they used all toxic stuff. The old saying, the Mad Hatter, right? What is that about? Well, the chemicals that the Hatter used would make them sick, and they would be almost crazy. And the lead paints that these painters used to use, they were drunks.
Or lacquers.
Yeah. They're high off of it. Yeah, no, a lot of the painters now that are successful are going to the gym, they're doing yoga, they're meditating, they're eating good. They realize it's a marathon, and they take breaks. You got to take breaks. Some of these painters, man, they pride themselves on working 7 days a week. I get that, but you also burn out. At least take a day off, or take a vacation once a year. Take a vacation. You got to.
You have to find balance. Like you said, it's a long run. It's a long game. Yeah. 10-year plan. Yeah. And you have to do all those things. That way you don't pretty much die, because you can easily die. All these unhealthy painters out there having heart attacks, and they're like 40 years old, looking like they're 90. They can barely breathe. So it's important to have that balance and take care of yourself, and then take care of your business. Any other questions that you might have, Karmelo, for Brian?
Have you always had that inventor mindset? I know you have Car Boom, you have a Pretty Boy.
Yeah.
Growing up, would you always try to find like a problem and then find the solution to it?
You don't know you're an inventor till you're an inventor. You know what I mean? You don't know why you do it. But yeah, I remember when I moved to Atlanta in 92, I started working with a guy that was filming apartments, and he said, let's film apartments. Let's film them and put it on cable. And I'm like, okay. And that was his idea. And I got afraid and backed off. It was a multi-million-dollar idea that is everywhere now. People can access that stuff. So always been sort of an entrepreneur, but you grow it. And again, it takes courage, because there's most of the time you're miserable because you're not making the money you want to make. But the opportunity down the road is what you're shooting for. And hopefully, yeah. So thank you. Yes.
Would you like to add anything or say anything?
Oh yeah. So the Pretty Boy Paint Festival again will be in San Diego in April, and also in upstate New York. So 2 locations. Love for you guys to come. And what it is a little bit of everything. It's like Friday nights, like a welcoming barbecue, and there'll be brands there showing their stuff. You know, New Doors was there this year. Surf Prep was there this year.
You'll have KLOUDBOOKS sponsor it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And what it does is brings painters together. And the cool thing is you'll meet lifelong friends. You'll meet people that I think a lot of painters need to take paintcations. Sam Chandler came up with that name, paintcations. So where they can still make money, but get the hell out of town for a while. Mm-hmm. See how somebody else does it. And Sam offers that a lot of times. Guys can fly to Hawaii and help them do a job. He has an open door policy.
That's nice.
So yeah, that's one of the things. So anyway, I hope to see you at a Pretty Boy Paint Festival. If you want to try Pretty Boy, you don't know what it is, just say hi on Pretty Boy Products.
Yeah, hit up Brian on social media.
Thank
Then
you
if you
guys.
want to bring it to your store, you said they can go to the Sherwin-Williams and have them, ask them to
Sherwin-Williams.
carry it.
Sherwin-Williams can get it from Lancaster, my distributor. Ben Moore can as well. It's available. So the 3 major distributors are All Pro, Emery, and Lancaster, and I'm in one of the big 3.
Awesome.
Thank God I got lucky last year. So very, very happy to get into those guys.
You're going to be
Happy
on
to
all
hear
3
that.
soon, man. We wish you the best. You're
Thank
a
you
good
so
guy,
much.
man.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad that you stopped by and we got to talk
Thanks for
about all your experiences, and then we appreciate the value that you gave, I'm sure, to our listeners too.
And your story.
And your story.
Thank you.
Great story. All right, guys. So this will wrap up this episode of the Dirty Painters podcast.
Be sure to follow our business on Instagram at Olympian Painting, and also our personal pages, Olympian_Redion, Olympian_Karmelo. Keep up with the episodes of the Dirty Painters podcast, and also follow Brian at Pretty Boy Products.
Guys, if you like this episode, be sure to share it with a fellow painter or tradie. Until next time, this is Redion,
And I'm Karmelo.
signing off from the Dirty Painters podcast. Thank you, guys.
Adios.